The courtroom is a kingdom, and Marcus Thorne is its king. He sits not on the bench, but at the prosecutor's table, a throne of polished mahogany from which he rules. His suit is a whisper of silk and power, costing more than the entire yearly salary of the beleaguered public defender across the aisle. His hair is a silver helmet, perfect and immobile. His face is a sculpture of contempt, carved from granite and prejudice. Today, his kingdom is a small, stuffy family court, a place he usually considers beneath him. But the case involves a lucrative property development, a stubborn tenant, and a chance to crush someone insignificant. For Marcus Thorne, cruelty is not just a tool, it is a sport. His gaze falls upon the woman on the witness stand. Amara Vance. She is a small woman, made smaller by the cavernous witness box. Her dress is neat, clean, but clearly off the rack, a stark contrast to his bespoke armor. Her hands are clasped so tightly in her lap that her knuckles are white mountains on a dark sea of skin. She is a black single mother, and in Thorne's worldview, that is a trifecta of insignificance. He sees a target. He sees an easy win. He sees a fly to be swatted. He does not see the truth. He cannot possibly comprehend that in mocking this woman, he is not just making a mistake. He is signing his own death warrant. He is standing on the edge of a cliff and laughing at the abyss, unaware that the ground beneath his feet is already gone. This is the story of how one man's bottomless arrogance leads to his complete and total destruction. Miss Vance, Thorne begins, his voice a theatrical boom designed to fill every corner of the room, to intimidate and to dominate. He does not use her name. He uses a title that diminishes her. Let's be clear for the court. You are unemployed, are you not? Amara swallows. Her voice is a fragile whisper. I am currently between positions. Thorne lets out a short, sharp laugh. It is not a sound of mirth. It is a weapon. Between positions. A delightful euphemism. And how long has this between positions period lasted? Her public defender, a young man named David Chen, rises weakly. Objection, Your Honor. Counsel is badgering the witness. Her employment status is not directly relevant to the eviction notice. Judge Thompson, a man who owes his position on the bench to Marcus Thorne's political maneuvering, waves a dismissive hand. Mr. Chen, please. Let's not waste time with frivolous objections. I'll allow the question. Answer him, Miss Vance. The alliance is clear. The judge is not an arbiter, he is Thorne's accomplice. The courtroom is not a hall of justice, it is an arena, and Amara has been thrown to the lions. Amara looks at her son, Leo, a 10-year-old boy sitting in the front row. He tries to give her a brave smile, but his eyes are wide with fear. He is the reason she is here. He is the reason she endures this. The eviction is from the apartment they have lived in since he was born, the only home he has ever known. A developer, Thorne's client, wants the land. They want to tear it down and build luxury condos that gleam like polished bone. It has been 6 months, Amara says, her voice barely audible. 6 months, Thorne repeats, savoring the words. He paces before her, a predator circling its prey. And in these 6 months, you have been living in a property owned by my client, paying no rent, correct? Squatting, in essence. I was offered a relocation package that was rescinded without explanation, she states, her words precise despite her tremor. I have the letters. My lawyer has them. Thorne sneers at David Chen, who fumbles with a stack of papers. You're a lawyer? You mean the charity case the state assigned you? I've seen his paperwork, Miss Vance. It's as flimsy as your claim to this property. Objection. Chen protests, his face flushing. Overruled, the judge sighs, as if bored by the entire proceeding. Thorne leans in close to the witness box, his voice dropping to a conspiratorial, venomous whisper that still carries through the silent courtroom. Let me tell you what I see, Miss Vance. I see a woman who thinks the world owes her something. A woman who uses her son as a shield, hoping for a handout. You are trying to extort my client, a man who is a pillar of this community, a job creator. And you are what? A drain. A leech. Each word is a physical blow. Amara flinches. She can feel the eyes of the courtroom on her, the judgment, the pity, the scorn. She looks at Leo again. His smile is gone, replaced by a look of profound hurt. He is seeing his mother, his hero, being dismantled piece by piece. And in that moment, something inside Amara shifts. The fear does not vanish, but it crystallizes. It hardens from a trembling fog into a shard of ice in her soul. The shaking in her hands stops. Her breathing evens out. She meets Marcus Thorne's predatory gaze, and for the first time, there is no fear in her eyes. There is only a cold, quiet calm. Thorne, blinded by his own arrogance, does not notice the change. He sees only what he wants to see, a victim on the verge of collapse. He decides it is time to deliver the killing blow. You claim you have some sort of specialized work experience that makes you overqualified for most jobs, is that right? He asks, picking up a document from his table. It is her resume, and he holds it as if it is contaminated. Let's see here. Paralegal work, legal research, very impressive, he says with a dripping sarcasm that makes the few spectators in his camp chuckle. You see, Miss Vance, I am a lawyer. A real one. I graduated from Harvard. I am a partner at a firm that has shaped the skyline of this city. And I know what legal work looks like. It doesn't look like you. The insult is multifaceted, a diamond of pure malice. It attacks her race, her gender, her class. It is designed to shatter her completely. He tosses her resume onto the floor in a gesture of ultimate contempt. You are nothing, he hisses. And by the time I am done, you will have nothing. You will be on the street, and your son will be a ward of the state. Do you understand me? This is it. The injustice peak. The moment of maximum public humiliation. The line has not just been crossed, it has been obliterated. Amara Vance does not cry. She does not shout. She simply looks at him. And she waits. David Chin stands, his face a mask of impotent fury. Your Honor, this is beyond unacceptable. This is a character assassination, not a line of questioning. Judge Thompson polishes his glasses, unmoved. Mr. Thorne, perhaps you could tone down the theatrics. Though I do find the witness's lack of response telling. Thorne smiles, a flash of white teeth in a predator's grin. He has won. He always wins. He turns his back on Amara, addressing the judge as if she is no longer even present. I have no further questions for this person, Your Honor. I believe her silence speaks volumes. My client's motion for immediate eviction should be granted. He believes the battle is over. In truth, the war is just beginning. As Judge Thompson opens his mouth to deliver the inevitable ruling, a sharp, insistent ringing cuts through the silence. It is not a cell phone. It is a sound few in the room recognize, the crisp, commanding tone of a secure line. Every head turns. A bailiff at the back of the courtroom looks down at a dedicated phone on his desk, his eyes wide with surprise. He answers it, his conversation a series of short, shocked monosyllables. Yes. Yes, sir. I understand. Right away. He hangs up the phone and looks utterly bewildered. He looks at Judge Thompson. He looks at Marcus Thorne. Then, his eyes land on Amara Vance in the witness box. The bailiff, a burly man named Peterson, clears his throat. Your Honor, he says, his voice laced with confusion. I have a call. For the witness. Thorne spins around. A call. For her. That is absurd. This is a court of law, not a public telephone booth. Tell them to leave a message. Peterson shakes his head, his gaze locked on Amara. I can't, sir. The call is from the chambers of the Supreme Court of the United States. Silence. A profound, deafening silence falls over the kingdom of Marcus Thorne. The air crackles with disbelief. Thorne's smug smile falters, twitching at the corners. The judge freezes, his gavel hand hovering in midair. That's impossible, Thorne sputters. She's a nobody. This is a prank. A pathetic, desperate trick. But the bailiff is already walking forward, not with a cell phone, but with a sleek, encrypted satellite handset, the kind used for communication that cannot be intercepted. He walks past the prosecutor's table, past the stunned public defender, and approaches the witness box. He holds it out to Amara. She takes it. Her hand is perfectly steady. She raises the handset to her ear. Her voice, when she speaks, is no longer the fragile whisper of a victim. It is calm, clear, and resonant with an authority that seems to come from the very bedrock of the courthouse. "Vance," she says simply. She listens for a moment, her expression unreadable. The entire courtroom holds its breath. Thorne watches, a knot of pure, cold dread beginning to form in his stomach. This is not part of the script. This is not how the world works. Power does not simply materialize in the hands of the powerless. "Yes, Justice Sterling," Amara says into the phone. "I understand. The preliminary injunction is filed. The federal marshals are 5 minutes out. Yes, I have everything I need." She listens again, a faint, almost imperceptible smile touching her lips. "Don't worry," she says, her eyes finding Marcus Thorne's across the room. "He is exactly as you described. And he has already given me more than enough rope." She ends the call and hands the phone back to the stunned bailiff. She turns her attention back to the judge, who looks as if he has seen a ghost. "Your Honor," Amara Vance says, and her voice now commands the room. It is the voice of someone who is not a witness, but an officer of a much, much higher court. "My name is Amara Vance. I am a graduate of Yale Law School, Order of the Coif. And for the last 3 years, I have had the privilege of serving as the senior judicial clerk to Justice Isabel Sterling of the Supreme Court of the United States." The dam of reality breaks. A collective gasp ripples through the courtroom. David Chen, her public defender, stares at her, his jaw hanging open. He had been given a heavily redacted resume, a cover. He had no idea. Marcus Thorne's face has gone from tan to gray. The blood drains from it, leaving a pasty, slack-jawed mask of horror. He stumbles back a step, his hand gripping his precious mahogany table for support. "That's a lie," he chokes out, but the words have no conviction. He is a king whose castle has just been revealed to be made of sand, and the tide is coming in. Amara ignores him, her focus absolute. "I took a 6-month leave of absence to deal with a personal matter. Specifically, the targeted harassment and illegal eviction proceedings initiated by your benefactor, Mr. Thorne, on behalf of his client, who is attempting to break a federally protected affordable housing covenant." She gestures towards the resume Thorne had thrown on the floor. "That document you discarded as a cover. My actual curriculum vitae is now being entered into the record by the United States Marshals who are, at this moment, securing this courthouse." As if on cue, the heavy doors at the back of the courtroom burst open. They do not swing open gently. They are thrown open, crashing against the walls with a sound like thunder. 2 men and a woman in dark blue windbreakers with U.S. Marshal emblazoned in bold yellow letters stride into the room. They move with an unnerving purpose, their eyes scanning, assessing, owning the space. The power dynamic has not just shifted. It has been annihilated. Marcus Thorne's kingdom has been invaded by a foreign power against which he has no defense. His throne is just a wooden table. His robe is just an expensive suit. And he is just a man. A terrified, guilty man. What is the meaning of this? Judge Thompson bellows, trying to reclaim a shred of his authority. "I am the judge in this court." The lead marshal, a woman with a severe face and eyes that miss nothing, does not even look at him. Her attention is on Amara. "Ma'am. Are you secure?" "I am, Marshal," Amara replies calmly. "Please, proceed." The marshal nods. She turns to Judge Thompson, her voice flat and cold as a morgue slab. "Judge Thompson, my name is Marshal Rivas. Pursuant to a warrant issued by the United States District Court for this district, you are hereby ordered to cease these proceedings. This courtroom is now a federal crime scene." "Crime scene," the judge sputters, his face turning a blotchy red. "On what grounds?" Amara answers before the marshal can. "On the grounds of conspiracy, mail fraud, wire fraud, and witness tampering, to start. Shall I continue?" She reaches down into a simple tote bag at her feet, a bag Thorne had sneered at earlier, and pulls out a sleek, thin laptop. She places it on the witness stand and opens it. The screen glows to life. "For the past 6 months," Amara begins, her voice now a precise instrument of destruction, "I have not been between positions. I have been conducting an investigation. An investigation into Marcus Thorne, his firm, his client, and his Judicial assets. She glances meaningfully at Judge Thompson, who shrinks in his chair. Thorne finds his voice, a desperate, strangled sound. This is a farce. A malicious prosecution. You have no evidence. Oh, but I do, Mr. Thorne, Amara says, her fingers dancing across the keyboard. I have so much evidence. You see, when you are accustomed to dealing with the powerless, you get sloppy. You believe no one is watching. But I was watching. Every step of the way. She turns the laptop screen so the judge and the court can see it. A complex diagram of names, shell corporations, and bank accounts fills the display. Let's begin with the initial offer, Amara says, her tone now that of a law professor dissecting a case. My building, the Oak Haven Apartments, was sold to a shell corporation, Viridian Holdings LLC. A simple public record search shows Viridian is owned by another shell, Apex Developments, but the public record stops there. She clicks a key. However, with a federal subpoena, which Justice Sterling was kind enough to help me secure, one can dig a little deeper. Lines of code scroll down the screen. Financial records appear. It turns out Apex Developments is funded by an offshore account in the Cayman Islands. And that account? It belongs to your client, Mr. Jameson, the pillar of the community, but what's more interesting are the payments flowing out of that account. She highlights a series of transactions. For example, this payment of $50,000, made 2 days after my eviction notice was filed, to another account. An account belonging to a consulting firm. She clicks again. The name of the firm appears on screen. Thompson Strategic Consulting. A gasp goes through the room. Judge Thompson's wife's maiden name is Thompson. And who is the sole proprietor of this firm? Amara asks rhetorically. Why, it's Margaret Thompson. The wife of our esteemed Judge Thompson. A consulting fee, I imagine, for ensuring these proceedings went smoothly. Judge Thompson leaps to his feet. Lies. Slander. I will have you held in contempt. Marshal Rivas takes a step towards the bench. Sit down, Judge. Now. The authority in her voice is absolute. Defeated, Thompson collapses back into his chair, his face the color of ash. Thorne is hyperventilating. His perfect silver hair is now disheveled. A sheen of sweat covers his brow. He looks from the judge to Amara, his mind racing, trying to find an exit, a loophole, an escape. There is none. The trap is perfect. You think that's all? Amara asks, a hint of pity in her voice. Oh, we are just getting started. She brings up a new window. It is an email chain. These are emails between you and your client, Mr. Jameson. You were foolish enough not to use an encrypted server. You wrote, and I quote, the tenant in 4B is proving difficult. She's a single mother, so we can leverage the boy. Family court is our best bet. Thompson owes me. We'll paint her as an unfit parent and have the state take the kid. She'll fold in a day. She looks up from the screen and her eyes lock onto Thorne's. You were going to take my son. The words hang in the air, heavy and damning. This is no longer about property law. This is about a level of human cruelty so profound it sickens everyone in the room. Even Thorne's own junior associates are looking at him with disgust. Leo, in the front row, is now being shielded by David Chen, who has his arm around the boy's shoulders. Chen looks at Amara with something approaching awe. He had thought he was fighting a hopeless battle for a helpless victim. He now realizes he was merely a spectator at a masterclass in justice. But my personal favorite, Amara continues, her voice dropping, becoming more intimate, more dangerous, is your correspondence with the building superintendent, a Mr. Henderson. She brings up another file. This one is an audio file. Mr. Henderson was instructed to find reasons for my eviction. He refused. He said my son and I were model tenants. You did not appreciate his moral fortitude. So you threatened him. You threatened his family. You threatened to have his undocumented wife deported. Amara's face hardens. Mr. Henderson, fearing for his family, agreed to record his next conversation with you. A conversation he had in your office just last week. He came to me with the recording 2 days ago. Thorne's eyes widen in sheer terror. He remembers the meeting. He remembers his own voice, dripping with racist and classist bile, confident in the privacy of his own opulent office. "No," he whispers. "No, you can't." "I can," Amara says. "And I will." She looks to Marshal Rivas. "Marshal, if you would." The marshal nods to her colleague, who produces a set of speakers and connects them to Amara's laptop. The entire courtroom is about to hear Marcus Thorne, in his own words, unfiltered and unvarnished. Amara presses play. Thorne's voice, slick and arrogant, fills the room. It is unmistakable. "Look, Henderson, it's simple. You either say you saw drug paraphernalia on her balcony, or I make one phone call and your wife is on a bus back to a country she hasn't seen in 20 years. Understand?" There is a muffled, fearful response from the superintendent. Thorne's recorded voice laughs. It's the same cruel, dismissive laugh he used in court. "Good. Don't feel bad. People like her. They're parasites. This city would be better off without them. She's some affirmative action hire who probably got fired for incompetence, and now she wants a handout. We're doing the community a service, cleaning up the trash." The audio continues, each word another nail in Thorne's coffin. He uses slurs. He brags about his control over Judge Thompson. He admits to fabricating evidence in at least 3 other cases. He exposes the rot at the core of his entire career. He is not just a corrupt lawyer. He is a monster. When the recording finishes, a chilling silence descends. It is the silence of a tomb. Marcus Thorne stands frozen, his mouth agape, his face a canvas of disbelief and horror. The mask is gone. The king is naked. Beneath the expensive suit and the silver hair is a pathetic, shriveled creature, exposed in the harsh light of truth. He looks around the room, desperate for an ally, a friendly face. He sees only contempt. His associates are backing away from the table. The judge is staring at his hands as if he has never seen them before. The spectators look at him with open revulsion. His kingdom has fallen. His subjects have turned on him. Marshal Rivas steps forward. "Marcus Thorne," she says, her voice ringing with finality. "You are under arrest for conspiracy to violate civil rights, witness tampering, bribery, and racketeering." One of the other marshals approaches him with a pair of handcuffs. The metallic click as the cuffs lock around Thorne's wrists is the loudest sound in the world. It is the sound of a career ending. A life imploding. Thorne finally shatters. "No," he screams, a raw, animal sound of pure panic. "You can't do this to me. I am Marcus Thorne. I built this city. I own people. I own all of you." He struggles against the marshals, his dignity dissolving into a frantic, pathetic display. She's nobody. A lying, manipulative. His rant is cut short as the marshals begin to lead him away. As they pass the witness stand, his eyes, wild with hate and fear, lock with Amara's. "You," he spits. "You did this." Amara Vance stands up from the witness box. She is no longer small. She seems to fill the space, radiating a quiet, unshakable strength. She looks down at the men who tried to destroy her, the men who threatened her child, and she delivers the final, cutting blow. "No, Mr. Thorne," she says, her voice soft but carrying the weight of absolute victory. "You did this. You just assumed I was a woman with nothing. So I became a woman with nothing to lose. I needed you to see me as weak. I needed you to underestimate me. I needed the world to see exactly how you treat people when you think no one is watching." She pauses, letting the truth of her words sink in. "Your mistake wasn't just that you lied," she says. "Your mistake was that you believed your own lies. You saw a black single mother, and your prejudice was so absolute, so blinding, that you couldn't conceive of anything else. You couldn't imagine that I might be smarter than you. That I might be better than you. You never even thought to ask where I used to work." They haul him towards the doors, his protests now just desperate, incoherent babbling. His reign is over. His kingdom is in ruins. As the doors close behind him, cutting off his final shriek, Amara walks over to the front row. She kneels down in front of her son. "Is it over, Mom?" Leo asks, his eyes filled with tears, but also with pride. Amara pulls him into a hug, burying her face in his hair. "Yes, baby," she whispers. "It's over. We're safe." The fallout is not just a storm, it is a biblical flood. It washes away the corrupt and cleanses the city's halls of power. Marcus Thorne's trial is swift and brutal. The evidence compiled by Amara is so overwhelming, so meticulously documented, that his defense is a joke. The audio recording of his own voice confessing to his crimes is played on every news channel for weeks. His name becomes a synonym for corruption and bigotry. He is found guilty on all counts. The judge, making an example of him, sentences him to 30 years in a federal maximum security prison, with no possibility of parole. His law license is revoked. He is disbarred in disgrace. The firm he built, Thorne and Associates, collapses within a month, its name toxic, its partners either indicted as co-conspirators or fleeing the profession entirely. The court seizes his assets, the penthouse, the collection of classic cars, the offshore accounts. Every penny he made through his reign of terror is confiscated. He is left with nothing but a prison jumpsuit and the 4 concrete walls of his cell. Judge Thompson fares no better. Faced with irrefutable evidence of bribery, he resigns in shame before he can be impeached. He pleads guilty to avoid a longer sentence and is given 10 years. His wife files for divorce the day he is sentenced. His portrait is removed from the courthouse wall, his legacy erased, his name a permanent stain on the judiciary. The developer, Mr. Jameson, sees the writing on the wall. He cooperates fully with the federal investigation, turning over years of Thorne's dirty laundry in exchange for a lighter sentence. He still serves 5 years for his role in the conspiracy, and his company is dissolved, its assets used to pay restitution to the countless families he and Thorne had victimized over the years. The superintendent, Mr. Henderson, becomes a local hero. He is granted full immunity for his testimony, and a special bill is passed granting his wife and family full, permanent citizenship in recognition of his bravery. He is offered a new job managing a far better apartment complex, with a salary triple what he was making before. For Amara and Leo, the world transforms. The eviction is, of course, thrown out. The Oak Haven apartments are taken over by a nonprofit housing trust, which guarantees the residents their homes for life. The trust offers Amara the deed to her apartment, free and clear, as a token of gratitude. She accepts. For the first time, their home is truly theirs. Justice Isabel Sterling publicly commends Amara for her unparalleled courage, brilliant legal mind, and unwavering commitment to the spirit of the law. The story of the underestimated Supreme Court clerk who took down a corrupt legal empire becomes a national sensation. Job offers pour in from the most prestigious law firms in the country, from the Department of Justice, from advocacy groups. Amara turns them all down. With a portion of the restitution funds awarded by the court, and with a significant grant from a foundation established by Justice Sterling, she creates the Vance Initiative for Judicial Accountability. It is a nonprofit organization dedicated to providing elite legal defense for ordinary people targeted by corrupt systems of power. She hires David Chen, her former public defender, as her first director of litigation. He is no longer overwhelmed and impotent. Under Amara's mentorship, he becomes a fierce and brilliant advocate for the downtrodden. The Vance Initiative becomes a force of nature. In its first 2 years, it successfully overturns over 50 wrongful convictions tied to cases handled by Marcus Thorne or judged by Thompson. It exposes 2 more corrupt judges and a half-dozen dirty lawyers. It becomes a beacon of hope for those who have been chewed up and spit out by a system that favors the rich and powerful. Amara Vance, the woman who was once made to feel small in a witness box, becomes one of the most respected legal figures in the nation. She never raises her voice. She never resorts to theatrics. Her power lies in her quiet brilliance, her meticulous preparation, and the unshakable moral compass that guides her every move. 2 years later. The courtroom is new. It is bright, filled with natural light, the wood a warm, welcoming blonde, not a dark, intimidating mahogany. It is a federal courthouse, and sitting on the bench is the Honorable Amara Vance. She was appointed to the federal judiciary in a unanimous confirmation vote, her story having captured the imagination of the entire country. She is the youngest black woman ever appointed to this bench, and she presides over her court with a quiet dignity that commands more respect than any gavel-pounding ever could. Today, a young, nervous prosecutor is making a mess of his case, bullying a witness on the stand, a young mother who looks terrified. Judge Vance listens patiently. She lets it go on for a moment, watching the prosecutor, a young man who reminds her a little too much of a young Marcus Thorne, all arrogance and cheap theatrics. Finally, she holds up a hand. "Counselor," she says, her voice soft but cutting through the room like a laser. "A word of advice." The young prosecutor stops, startled. "You seem to be operating under the assumption that the person on that witness stand is merely an obstacle to your victory," Judge Vance says, her eyes holding his. "You see a stereotype, not a person. You see what you want to see. And you are so blinded by your own ambition that you have failed to actually listen to her testimony, which, if you had, would have told you that your entire case is built on a false premise." She leans forward slightly. "Never, ever underestimate the person in the box, counselor. You have no idea who they are. You have no idea what they are capable of. Your arrogance is not a weapon. It is a liability. And if you do not learn that lesson, I promise you, one day it will lead to your complete and total destruction." The prosecutor pales, thoroughly chastened. He mutters an apology to the court and to the witness. From her bench, Judge Amara Vance looks out at the courtroom. She sees her son, Leo, now 12 years old, sitting in the back, doing his homework while he waits for her. He catches her eye and gives her a proud, beaming smile. The world is full of men like Marcus Thorne, men who build their kingdoms on the backs of the powerless, who mistake silence for weakness and kindness for stupidity. They believe their power is absolute, their throne secure. But they forget the most fundamental truth of all. Justice is not a place or a person, it is a force. And sometimes, it arrives in the quietest, most unexpected form, a single mother in a simple dress, with a brilliant mind and a will of iron, ready to burn a corrupt kingdom to the ground.